What's going on today, YouTube? Rob here. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Today in this video I'm going to be doing a pure Adamancipator deck profile. It's a little bit of a new version due to the fact that the September ban list just came out and it was in effect on Monday. This again is my interpretation of one. I have some cards that I don't have 3 of that I would like to include in this deck, but because I don't have all 3 copies, I only included 1 or 2 of them, and I put in some other cards that I thought would work well enough instead. And same thing goes with the extra deck. It's not fully completed, but I do kind of explain what I would put in. So I hope you guys enjoy, and as always, be sure to like the video, and if you're not already, subscribe to the channel for more fun content, and turn on that notification bell. And without wasting any more of your time, let's get into it. Alright guys, let's get into this Adamancipator pure deck profile. So, with the recent ban list, banning Block Dragon and banning O-Lion, we're basically unable to play those cards, obviously, because they're banned. And this is a pure variant to Adamancipator that I built. It's not really completed, but where there are other cards that you can substitute. So first off, we're going to start with our Adamancipator Seeker, 3 copies. So this card allows you, if you control an Adamancipator monster except for Seeker, you can special summon this card from your hand. During your main phase, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can special summon one of those excavated level 4 or lower tuner non-tuner rock monsters. Also, you place the rest of those cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. You can only use the effect of Seeker once per turn. Then we have 3 copies of Analyzer. Analyzer is like a Cyber Dragon for the deck. So if only your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. During your main phase, during your main phase, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can special summon one excavated level 4 or lower non-tuner rock monster, and also place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. You can only use Analyzer's effect once per turn. Next, I have 2 copies of Researcher. You should be running this at 3, but I only have 2, so for this deck build, we're running 2. If you control a rock monster except for Researcher, you can special summon this card from your hand. During your main phase, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can special summon one excavated level 4 or lower non-tuner rock monster. Also, place the rest of the cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. You can only use the effect of Researcher once per turn. Then we have our stones, or crystals. So we have 3 copies of Leonite. This allows you to... if this card is special summoned by the effect of an Adamancipator card, you can place one Adamancipator card from your hand or graveyard on the top of your deck. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one fire synchro monster you control or in your graveyard and return it to the extra deck. And if you do place this card on top of your deck, you can only use the effect of Crystal Leonite once per turn. Then we have our Raptite. This has the same effect, except it is for a wind type synchro monster. And it's, again, the same effect as Leonite. And then we have our 3 copies of Dragite. So, again, if this card is special summoned by Adamancipator cards, you draw 1 card. And if this card is in your graveyard, you target 1 water synchro monster and return it to the extra deck. And if you do, you place this card on top of your deck. Then I have, for this variant, 3 copies of Quakemaro Sandman. This card can be subbed out for any hand traps if you really want to. But this is a good way to basically get rid of some cards on your opponent's side of the field. During each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send 1 Iron Core of Quakemaro from your hand to the graveyard, or reveal 1 rock monster in your hand. When your opponent activates a trap card, quick effect, you contribute this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Then we have 3 copies of Doki Doki. So if you can discard 1 rock monster and special summon from your deck 1 rock monster that has the same original attribute and level as that monster in face-up attack position or face-down defense position. You can only use this effect of Doki Doki once per turn. Then we have triple Quakemaro Guardian. So during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send 1 Iron Core of Quakemaro from your hand to the graveyard, or reveal 1 rock monster in your hand. When a monster effect is activated, quick effect, you contribute this card and negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that monster. Then, because of the spacing in this deck, I have 2 copies of Ash Blossom. Again, you can substitute Quakemaro Sandman for 3 copies of Ash or any other cards that you want to run. But for this specific deck and the cards that I have, I'm using 2 copies of Ash. And when a card or effect is activated that includes any of these effects, quick effect, you can discard this card and negate that effect. So adding a card from deck to hand, special summoning from the deck, or sending a card from the deck to the graveyard. You can only use Ash once per turn. Then off to the spell cards. Again, because this is a pure build, I'm running Adamancipator spell cards. So we have 2 copies of Adamancipator Raptite. If you wanted to, you could run this at 3, but given what I have, I'm only able to run it at 2. All rock monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense. Once per turn during your main phase, you can take up to 5 Adamancipator cards from your deck and place them on top of your deck in any order. And then again, this is another card that you should be playing at 3 with Adamancipator, but given the fact that I only have 1 copy of it, I am running it at 1, and it's Adamancipator Signs. So you target 1 rock monster from your graveyard and special summon it in defense mode. And then if you special summoned an Adamancipator monster by this effect, you can take 1 level 4 or lower rock monster in your deck and place it on top of your deck. This again should be run at 3, but given the fact that I only have 1 copy of it somehow, even though I opened multiple Secret Slayer booster boxes, I don't know. And that's it for the spells that I'm running in this variant of the deck. Now we're on to our traps. So we have 3 copies of Rock Bombardment. This lets you send 1 rock monster from your deck to the graveyard and inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent. Then we have 3 copies of Adamancipator Relief. This lets you tribute any number of Adamancipator monsters and then target cards on the field equal to that number and destroy them. Lastly, we have 3 copies of Adamancipator Resonance. This allows you, when a monster effect is activated while you control an Adamancipator Synchro monster, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. And that rounds off our main deck, but again, there are some cards you can take out and put in. So I would take out, if I had the cards, would take out Koikimaro Sandman and add 2 more copies of Adamancipator Signs, or I would add 1 other copy of our other spell card that gives us a boost, but because I don't have that, I am not running it right now. And that's it for our main deck. Let's move on to the extra deck. Again, given the fact that I don't have all the cards entirely for the extra deck, it is a little short, but I will still mention the cards that are needed. So first off, we're going to start with triple Adamancipator Risen Dragite. So this is 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters. During your main phase, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can return cards to your opponent's hand equal to the number of excavated rock monsters. Also, place the excavated cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. When your opponent activates a spell or trap card or effect while a water monster is in your graveyard, quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. You can only use each effect of Risen Dragite once per turn. Then we have 3 copies of Adamancipator Risen Raptite. This is 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. During your main phase, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can special summon 1 excavated rock monster in defense position. Also, place the rest of the cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. During your opponent's turn, if a wind monster is in your graveyard, quick effect, you can target 1 card your opponent control or in your opponent's graveyard and banish it. You can only use the effect of Risen Raptite once per turn. And again, because I don't have the 3 copies of Leonite, I don't have it in this specific deck, but he is the other Synchro monster that you run in this deck for your Adamancipator cards. So that would put you up to 9 out of your possible 15 cards in your extra deck. And then our link monsters are pretty standard. We have 1 copy of Union Carrier, 1 copy of Almirage, and 1 copy of Christian Halka Fibrax. So Union Carrier is 2 monsters with the same type or attribute. This cannot be used as link material the turn that it is link summoned. You can also target 1 face-up monster you control. Equip 1 monster to it from your hand or deck with the same original type or attribute. The equipped monster gains 1000 attack. If you equipped it from the deck, you cannot special summon monsters with that equipped card's name. For the rest of this turn, you can only use the effect of Union Carrier once per turn. Salamangreat Almirage is 1 normal summoned monster with 1000 or less attack. So, quick effect, you can tribute this card and then target 1 monster you control. It cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects for this turn. And when a normal summoned monster you control is destroyed by battle, while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. You can only use the effect of Almirage once per turn. And lastly, we have our Christian Halka Fibrax. 2 monsters, including a tuner. If this card is link summoned, you can special summon 1 level 3 or lower tuner monster from your hand or deck in defense position, but it cannot activate its effects. During your opponent's main phase or battle phase quick effect, you can banish this card you control and special summon 1 tuner Synchro monster from your deck. This this is treated as a special summon, or as a synchro summon. You can only activate the effect of Halqifibrax once per turn. And that's it for the extra deck out of the cards that I have. But again, there are things you can mix and match with using Adamancipators. So you could tag out Almirage and use Gallant Granite, a rank 4 Xyz monster, which this deck uses very well. You can also tag out something like Union Carrier or Leonite if you wanted to for something like Abyss Dweller. And again, just because of the cards that I have, this is what I have built. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. And as always, be sure to give the video a like, and if you're not already, subscribe to the channel for more fun content. I will see you in the next one. That's game.